The bathroom door rattled violently as fists pounded from the inside. Imani Brooks dropped her cleaning supplies and ran toward the sound, her heart racing. She knew exactly what had happened before she even reached the hallway. Another nanny. Another disaster. Let me out right now. This is insane. I'm calling the police. The woman's shrill voice echoed through the mansion's second floor. Imani reached the bathroom and found two identical 5-year-old boys sitting calmly on the floor opposite the door, their backs against the hallway wall. Tyler and Trevor Pierce looked up at her with blank expressions that made her stomach turn. They weren't laughing. They weren't smiling. They just sat there, watching. "Boys, where's the key?" Imani asked, keeping her voice steady despite her frustration. Trevor shrugged. Tyler looked at his shoes. The banging grew louder. "I'm done. Do you hear me? I quit. These children are monsters." Imani closed her eyes and took a deep breath. That was the 7th nanny in 3 months. 7 women who had come with impressive credentials and left in tears or rage. She was just the housekeeper. This wasn't her job. But someone had to fix this mess. "Tyler, Trevor, stand up and go to your playroom. Now." Something in her tone must have registered because both boys scrambled to their feet and walked away without argument. Imani waited until they disappeared around the corner before she spoke to the door. "Miss Patterson, it's Imani. I'm going to get you out. Just give me a minute." They locked it from the outside. What kind of children do that? The kind whose father works 80 hours a week and barely knows their names, Imani thought bitterly. The kind whose mother walked out 2 years ago and never looked back. But she didn't say any of that. She hurried downstairs to the kitchen where Mr. Pierce kept a spare set of keys in a drawer. Her hands shook slightly as she grabbed them. This couldn't continue. Those boys were hurting, and everyone could see it except the one person who mattered. By the time she returned and freed Miss Patterson, the woman had worked herself into a fury. She stormed past Imani without a word of thanks, grabbed her purse from the entrance hall, and slammed the front door so hard the windows rattled. Imani stood alone in the hallway, surrounded by 10,000 square feet of marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and crushing silence. She made $12 an hour cleaning this palace. She had no business getting involved in family drama. But as she climbed the stairs toward the playroom, she couldn't ignore the weight in her chest. The twins sat on opposite sides of the room when she entered. Tyler had a coloring book open but wasn't coloring. Trevor stared out the window at nothing. "Why do you keep doing this?" Imani asked, sitting on the floor between them. Neither boy answered. "You know the nannies leave because of what you do. You know it makes your father upset." "He's always upset," Tyler said quietly. "He doesn't even notice," Trevor added. Imani's throat tightened. They were right. Nathan Pierce barely spoke to his sons. He left before they woke and came home after they slept. On weekends, he locked himself in his home office. The nannies were supposed to fill the gap, but how could they when the boys sabotaged each one? "Your father is trying his best," Imani said, though the words felt hollow. "Our best isn't good enough for him," Tyler said. "So why should his be good enough for us?" The simple logic of a 5-year-old cut straight to the truth. These children were crying out for attention in the only way they knew how. And everyone kept failing them. Imani stayed with the boys until their father came home at 8 that evening. She wasn't supposed to be there that late. Her shift ended at 5. But she couldn't leave them alone, and the agency wouldn't send a replacement on such short notice. When Nathan Pierce walked through the door, he looked exactly like what he was, exhausted, overwhelmed, and barely holding together. At 33, he could have passed for 40. His dark hair was disheveled, his tie loosened, his shoulders slumped under an invisible weight. "Let me guess," he said when he saw Imani in the kitchen. "Miss Patterson quit about 6 hours ago." He rubbed his face with both hands. "That's 7. I know. I'll call the agency tomorrow. They said they have someone new starting next week." "Mr. Pierce." Imani set down the dish towel she'd been holding. "Can I be honest with you?" He looked at her with tired eyes. "Please. The nannies aren't the problem. Your sons are smart, creative, and desperate for attention. They're not bad kids. They're just hurting." His jaw tightened. You think I don't know that? You think I want things to be this way? I'm doing everything I can to keep this company running so I can provide for them. They don't need more things. They need you. The words hung in the air between them. For a moment, Imani thought she'd crossed a line. She was the housekeeper. Who was she to tell a father how to raise his children? But Nathan didn't fire her. He just looked broken. I don't know how to be what they need, he admitted. I'm failing them every single day, and I don't know how to stop. Could you watch two children suffer when you know you could help them? What would you do if you saw kids crying out for love that no one was giving them? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe to see how Imani changes everything for this broken family. Imani barely slept that night. She kept thinking about Tyler and Trevor sitting in that playroom, two small boys lost in a big house. She thought about Nathan's exhausted face and his admission that he was failing. Most of all, she thought about walking away and letting someone else deal with it. She could find another cleaning job easily. She had good references and years of experience. This wasn't her family. These weren't her problems. But when she arrived at the Pierce house the next morning at 7, those thoughts evaporated. The twins were eating cereal at the kitchen island, still in their pajamas. Nathan stood nearby in a suit, looking at his phone with a frown. Good morning, Imani said carefully. Both boys looked up. Hi, Imani, they said in unison. At least they knew her name. That was something. Nathan glanced up from his phone. Can we talk? In my office. Imani's stomach dropped. This was it. He was going to fire her for overstepping last night. She followed him down the hall to his home office, a room she usually only entered to dust. He closed the door and gestured to a chair. She sat stiffly, preparing for the worst. I stayed up all night thinking about what you said, Nathan began, leaning against his desk. You're right. The boys need more than I'm giving them. But I can't quit my job. I have investors, employees, contracts. People depend on me. I understand. The agency called this morning. They're refusing to send anyone else. Apparently, my sons have a reputation now. He laughed bitterly. 7 nannies in 3 months will do that. Imani waited, unsure where this was going. You've been working here for 4 months. The boys don't pull pranks on you. They listen when you talk. They actually seem calmer when you're around. He paused. I want to offer you the nanny position. Imani's eyes widened. Mr. Pierce, I'm not qualified. I clean houses. I don't have any childcare training or certifications. You have something better. You actually care about them. He named a salary that was 3 times what she currently made. Plus full benefits, and you'd live in the guest house rent-free. I need someone I can trust, someone who will stay. The offer was staggering. With that kind of money, Imani could pay off her mother's medical bills in a year. She could finally stop working 2 jobs. She could breathe. But more than that, she thought about Tyler's quiet voice saying their best wasn't good enough. She thought about Trevor staring out windows at nothing. She thought about 2 little boys who needed someone to fight for them. Yes, she said. I'll do it. Nathan's shoulders sagged with relief. Thank you. Really. Thank you. But I have conditions, Imani added. I need you to come home by 6 at least 3 nights a week. I need you to have breakfast with them on weekends. And I need you to actually talk to them, not just ask if they've been good. She expected him to argue or make excuses. Instead, he nodded slowly. Okay. I can do that. Then we have a deal. They shook hands, and Imani felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She had just agreed to raise 2 children who had already defeated 7 professionals. But something told her this was exactly what she was supposed to do. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Nathan called his lawyer to draw up a proper contract. Imani called her mother to explain the new job. Her mother, who had raised Imani alone after her father died, was cautious. Baby, are you sure about this? Living with your employer, taking care of his kids. That's a lot. I know, Mama. But I really think I can help them. Just be careful. Don't lose yourself taking care of other people. Imani promised she wouldn't, but she wasn't sure it was a promise she could keep. That evening, Nathan sat the boys down in the living room. Imani stood nearby, nervous about their reaction. "Tyler, Trevor, we need to talk about what's been happening with the nannies," Nathan began. Both boys looked down, expecting punishment. "I know you've been upset. I know I haven't been around much, and I'm sorry for that. But things are going to change." He glanced at Imani. "Imani has agreed to be your new nanny. She's going to live in the guest house and take care of you every day." Tyler's head snapped up. "Imani? But she's our friend," Trevor said. "She still will be," Imani said gently. "But I'm also going to make sure you eat healthy, do your homework, and go to bed on time. Can you handle that?" The twins looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations that only twins can have. Then they both looked at her. "Will you leave like the others?" Tyler asked. The question broke her heart. "No. I promise." "What if we're bad?" "Then we'll figure it out together." "But I'm not going anywhere." Trevor slid off the couch and walked over to her. He wrapped his small arms around her waist in a hug that felt like trust. A moment later, Tyler joined him. Imani looked at Nathan over their heads and saw something shift in his expression. Relief, maybe. Or hope. She hugged the boys back and made a silent promise that she would keep her word. That night, she moved her belongings from her small apartment into the guest house behind the main property. It was bigger than anywhere she'd ever lived, with a full kitchen, bedroom, and living area. As she unpacked, she wondered what she'd gotten herself into. But when she looked out the window and saw the lights on in the twins' bedroom, she knew exactly why she'd said yes. Those boys needed someone to stay. And for the first time in a long time, Imani felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. Monday morning started at 6. Imani woke to her alarm, dressed in comfortable jeans and a soft blue sweater, and walked across the lawn to the main house. Nathan had already left for work, leaving her a note on the kitchen counter. "Boys need to be at kindergarten by 8. Their backpacks are in the mudroom. Thank you for doing this." She found the twins still asleep in their separate bedrooms. The rooms were identical, expensive furniture, shelves full of untouched toys, walls painted neutral gray. They looked like showrooms, not spaces where children actually lived. "Time to wake up," Imani said gently, opening Tyler's curtains first. He groaned and pulled the covers over his head. She tried the same with Trevor, who threw a pillow at her. Imani took a breath and reminded herself that this was day 1. Of course they would test her. "Okay, here's the deal. You can get up now and have chocolate chip pancakes for breakfast, or you can stay in bed and have plain oatmeal. Your choice." Tyler's head popped out from under the covers. "Chocolate chip pancakes? If you're dressed and downstairs in 15 minutes. She'd never seen 2 kids move so fast. 30 minutes later, they sat at the kitchen island eating pancakes while Imani packed their lunches. She'd found out from the previous grocery orders that Trevor hated sandwiches and Tyler wouldn't eat anything green. So she packed them both pasta salad with hidden vegetables and fruit on the side. "Why do you always hum when you cook?" Tyler asked. Imani hadn't realized she was doing it. "My mama used to hum while she cooked. I guess I picked it up from her." "Where's your mama?" "She lives across town. I visit her every Sunday." "Do you have kids?" Trevor asked. "Nope. Just you two now." The words came out casually, but both boys stopped eating and looked at her. She saw the question in their eyes. The fear. The hope. "Come on, we need to get going or you'll be late," she said, changing the subject. The drive to their private kindergarten took 20 minutes. Imani watched in the rearview mirror as the twins sat quietly, so different from the wild children who had terrorized 7 nannies. When they arrived, other parents stared. She knew what they saw, a black woman dropping off 2 white children at an expensive school. "Have a good day," she told the boys as they climbed out. "You'll be here to pick us up?" Trevor asked. "Right here at 3. I promise." She kept that promise. And the one the next day, and the day after that. Slowly, a routine emerged. Wake up at 6, breakfast at 7, school drop-off at 8. Then Imani would return to the house and handle laundry, meal prep, and cleaning while the boys were gone. At 3, she'd pick them up, help with homework, play outside, make dinner. Bath time at 7, stories at 8, lights out by 9. It was exhausting. But it was also working. By Thursday, the boys stopped testing her. They ate what she cooked. They did their homework without complaint. They even started talking about their day at school. Brandon pushed me on the playground, Trevor said at dinner. Did you tell the teacher? Imani asked. No. I pushed him back. Trevor, that's not how we handle problems. Tomorrow, you need to apologize to Brandon and talk to your teacher about what happened. Trevor scowled. But he started it. Doesn't matter. We don't solve problems by pushing. We use our words. The old Trevor would have argued or thrown a fit. Instead, he just nodded and kept eating. Tyler, who had been quiet, spoke up. Is our dad going to come home for dinner tomorrow? Imani checked the calendar on her phone. Nathan had managed to make it home by 6 twice this week, which was an improvement. He said he'll try. He always says that, Tyler muttered. It was true. Nathan was trying, but work kept pulling him away. The boys noticed. They always noticed. That night, after putting the twins to bed, Imani sent Nathan a text. They're asking about you. They need more than money and a nice house. He responded an hour later. I know. Working on it. Thank you for everything you're doing. Friday evening, Nathan actually made it home by 5:30. The twins were in the backyard when he arrived, and Imani watched from the kitchen window as he joined them. He looked awkward, like he wasn't sure how to play with his own children. But Tyler handed him a soccer ball, and Nathan kicked it back. Small steps. After dinner, which they all ate together for the first time, Nathan pulled Imani aside. They seem different. Calmer. They just needed consistency. And boundaries. And someone to actually pay attention to them. I'm paying attention now. I know. They see it. Keep showing up, and they'll trust you again. He nodded, looking tired but determined. I don't know what I'd do without you. The words settled warm in her chest, and Imani quickly looked away. This was a job. Nothing more. She couldn't afford to forget that. But as she walked back to the guest house that night, she couldn't help feeling like she'd found something more than employment. She'd found purpose. And maybe, just maybe, she'd found a family that needed her as much as she needed them. 3 weeks into her new role, Imani could see the changes taking root. The twins no longer woke up angry at the world. They smiled more, laughed easier, and stopped treating every adult like an enemy waiting to abandon them. Tyler turned out to be an artist. Imani discovered this by accident when she found him drawing in a notebook during quiet time. His pictures showed detail and imagination far beyond his age. Dragons with scales carefully shaded, castles with intricate windows, forests full of hidden creatures. These are beautiful, Imani said, sitting beside him on the living room floor. Tyler shrugged, but she could see the pleasure in his eyes. The other nannies said drawing was a waste of time. They made me do math worksheets instead. Well, I'm not them. Drawing helps you express what's in your heart. That's never a waste of time. She bought him a proper sketchbook and colored pencils that weekend. Tyler hugged it to his chest like she'd given him gold. Trevor's passion was building. He could spend hours with blocks, Legos, or anything he could stack and connect. He built towers, bridges, and elaborate structures that defied the laws of physics for a 5-year-old. I'm going to be an engineer like Granddad, Trevor announced one afternoon. Your grandfather was an engineer? Yeah. Mom's dad. He died before we were born, but Dad has pictures. It was the first time either boy had mentioned their mother without being asked. Imani treaded carefully. What else do you know about him? Dad said he built bridges. Big ones that cars drive on. Trevor added another block to his tower. I want to build things that last forever. Imani's throat tightened. These boys had lost so much already. No wonder they tested every adult who entered their lives. They were trying to see who would stay. You're going to build amazing things, she told him. I know it. Nathan continued keeping his promise to come home earlier. 3 nights a week became 4, then 5. He'd sit with the boys after dinner, asking about their day, actually listening to their answers. The awkwardness faded bit by bit. On Saturday morning, the four of them established a new tradition. Pancake breakfast together, then a trip to the library. The boys could each pick 3 books, and they'd spend Sunday afternoon reading together. Imani watched Nathan read to his sons, the 3 of them squeezed onto the couch, and felt something shift in her chest. This was what a family looked like. Imperfect, still healing, but together. One evening, after the boys were asleep, Nathan knocked on the guesthouse door. Imani answered in sweatpants and an old t-shirt, surprised to see him. "Is everything okay?" "Yeah, I just wanted to talk. Do you have a minute?" She invited him in, suddenly self-conscious about her casual clothes and the half-eaten bowl of popcorn on her coffee table. Nathan sat in the armchair while she took the couch. "The boys are different," he said. "I mean, they're becoming themselves again. The way they were before their mother left." Imani nodded, letting him continue. "I thought I'd lost them forever. I thought I'd failed so completely that there was no coming back." His voice cracked slightly. "But you've given them back to me. You've given us a second chance. You're their father. They always wanted you. They just needed to know you wanted them too. I always wanted them. I just didn't know how to show it. After Claire left, I threw myself into work because it was easier than facing the guilt. Easier than admitting I'd failed my family. Your ex-wife left. That was her choice, not yours. She left because I was never there. Because I prioritized building a company over building a life with her. She tried to tell me, but I didn't listen. And then one day I came home and she was gone. Just a note saying she couldn't do it anymore." Imani had heard pieces of this story from the twins, but hearing it from Nathan was different. She could see the pain still raw on his face. "You can't change the past. You can only be better now. I'm trying. But some days I still feel like I'm failing. You're not failing. You're here. You're showing up. That's what matters." They talked for another hour about the boys, about Nathan's company, about Imani's mother and her ongoing health issues. It was the kind of conversation that felt easy and natural, like they'd known each other for years instead of months. When Nathan finally left, Imani sat in the quiet of her small house and realized something that made her nervous. She was starting to care about this family in a way that went beyond professional responsibility. She cared about Tyler's drawings and Trevor's buildings. She cared about Nathan's guilt and his determination to do better. She cared about all of them in a way that made her vulnerable. But caring was dangerous. Because caring meant it would hurt if she ever had to leave. The next morning, Trevor crawled into her lap during breakfast, something he'd never done before. "I'm glad you're here, Imani," he said quietly. Tyler nodded from his seat at the table. "We don't want you to go away." Imani hugged Trevor closer and looked at both boys. "I'm not going anywhere. I told you that, remember? I keep my promises." Nathan walked in just then, stopping in the doorway. His eyes met Imani's over the boys' heads, and something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Or recognition that they were all in this together now. Whatever it was, it felt like stepping over an invisible line. And none of them seemed to want to step back. The nightmare started around 2 in the morning. Imani woke to the sound of crying coming from the main house. She threw on a robe and ran across the dark lawn, her heart pounding. Inside, she found Trevor in his bed, tangled in sheets and sobbing. Tyler stood in the doorway of his brother's room, looking scared. "What happened?" Imani asked, rushing to Trevor's side. "He has bad dreams sometimes," Tyler said quietly. "About Mom leaving." Trevor's face was red and wet with tears. She took her suitcase and didn't say goodbye. She just left and never came back. Imani gathered him into her arms. "I know, baby. I know. Did we make her leave? Were we bad?" The question shattered her. "No. You did nothing wrong. Nothing. What your mother did was about her, not you." She held him while he cried, rocking slowly and humming the same song her own mother used to sing when Imani was small. Gradually, Trevor's sobs quieted. Tyler climbed onto the bed and curled up next to them. "Is Dad going to leave too?" Tyler whispered. "No. Your dad is right here. He's never leaving you." But he's always working. He's learning to do better. Growing up is hard, even for parents. Sometimes they make mistakes, but that doesn't mean they don't love you. She stayed with them until both boys fell back asleep, then carefully extracted herself and tucked them in. When she turned to leave, she found Nathan standing in the hallway. He looked wrecked. His hair stood up like he'd been running his hands through it, and his eyes were red. "How much did you hear?" Imani asked softly. "All of it." His voice was rough. "They think they made her leave. They think I'm going to abandon them too. They're processing trauma. It takes time. I need to do better. I need to be better. You are better. You're here, aren't you? You heard them and you came. That's what matters." They stood in the dim hallway, the house quiet around them. Nathan looked at her with an expression that made Imani's breath catch. "Thank you for being here. For caring about them the way you do. It's not hard to care about them. They're good boys. It's more than that. You've become part of this family. I don't know how we'd survive without you." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning that neither of them was ready to acknowledge. "Get some sleep," Imani said finally. "They'll need us both tomorrow." The next morning, Nathan called in sick to work. It was the first time he'd done that in years. Instead, he made breakfast with the boys, letting them crack eggs and flip pancakes even though it made a mess. He asked them about their nightmares, listened without judgment, and promised them again that he wasn't going anywhere. After lunch, Tyler brought out his sketchbook and showed his father the drawings he'd been working on. Nathan looked at each one carefully, asking questions and offering genuine praise. Trevor showed off his latest Lego creation, explaining the engineering behind each part. Imani watched from the kitchen, giving them space but staying close enough to help if needed. This was what healing looked like. Messy, slow, but real. That evening, the boys asked if they could have a movie night. Nathan set up blankets and pillows in the living room while Imani made popcorn. The boys insisted she watch with them, so she sat on one end of the couch while Nathan took the other. The twins sprawled between them. Halfway through the movie, Tyler fell asleep against Imani's side. Trevor dozed against Nathan's shoulder. The two adults looked at each other across the sleeping children. "This is nice," Nathan said quietly. "Yeah. It is. I can't remember the last time this house felt like a home." Imani knew what he meant. The mansion had been a showplace, all expensive furniture and empty rooms. But now it held laughter and drawings taped to the fridge and towers of blocks in the corners. It held life. After carrying the boys to bed, Nathan walked Imani back to the guest house. The night air was cool, and stars filled the sky above them. "Can I ask you something?" Nathan said at her door. "Sure. Why did you say yes? To being their nanny? You could have found another cleaning job easily. Why take on this responsibility?" Imani thought about her answer carefully. "Because I saw myself in them. I lost my father when I was 7. I know what it's like to feel abandoned, to wonder if you're worth staying for. I couldn't walk away from kids who needed someone to prove they matter. They're lucky to have you. I think I'm lucky to have them too." Nathan reached out like he might touch her arm, then dropped his hand. "Good night, Imani. Good night." She watched him walk back to the main house, and her heart did something complicated in her chest. This was getting dangerous. She was falling for this family, for these people who weren't supposed to mean more than a paycheck and a place to live. But as she got ready for bed, she couldn't bring herself to regret it. Because for the first time in a long time, she felt like she belonged somewhere. Like she mattered to people who mattered to her. And that feeling was worth the risk. Spring arrived and brought changes with it. The boys finished kindergarten with good grades and actual friends. Nathan reduced his hours at work and hired an operations manager to handle day-to-day tasks. The house stayed full of noise and laughter. And Imani found herself noticing things about Nathan that had nothing to do with his role as a father. The way his eyes crinkled when he laughed at one of Trevor's jokes. The gentle patience he showed when helping Tyler with a difficult drawing. The way he listened, really listened, when any of them talked. She tried to ignore it. This was her job. He was her employer. There were boundaries that shouldn't be crossed. But Nathan kept crossing them, in small ways that felt significant. He started having coffee with her in the mornings after the boys left for their summer camp program. They'd sit at the kitchen island and talk about everything and nothing. He asked about her life, her dreams, what she wanted beyond this job. "I always wanted to open a bakery," Imani admitted one morning. "My mama taught me to bake when I was little. I love seeing people's faces when they taste something delicious." "Why don't you?" "Money. Time. Fear, probably." She laughed. "The usual reasons people don't chase their dreams. You should do it. You're an incredible cook. Everything you make is amazing." The compliment made her warm all over. "Maybe someday. I mean it, Imani. You deserve to have what you want, not just take care of what everyone else wants." The conversation stayed with her for days. One Saturday, Nathan suggested a family outing to the Children's Museum. Imani almost said she'd stay home to give them time alone, but Tyler begged her to come. "Please. It's more fun when you're there." So she went, and it was fun. They explored exhibits, ate overpriced pizza in the cafe, and took silly pictures in the photo booth. The strip of photos showed all four of them laughing, Tyler making a funny face while Trevor crossed his eyes. "We look like a family," Trevor said, studying the pictures. Imani's stomach flipped. "We kind of are a family, aren't we?" Both boys grinned. Nathan looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. On the drive home, strangers at a gas station assumed Imani and Nathan were married. The attendant smiled at them and said, "You two have beautiful boys." Neither of them corrected her. In the back seat, Tyler and Trevor exchanged one of their silent twin conversations, then started whispering and giggling. Imani turned around. "What are you two planning?" "Nothing," they said in unison, which meant definitely something. That night, after the boys went to bed, Nathan found Imani on the back patio. She'd started spending evenings out there, reading or just enjoying the quiet. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. "It's your patio." He sat in the chair next to hers. For a while, they just listened to the night sounds, crickets chirping in the grass. "The boys asked me something today," Nathan said. "They wanted to know if you were going to be their new mom." Imani's heart stopped. "What did you tell them?" "I told them that families come in different forms, and what we have is special even if it doesn't look like other families." He paused. "But honestly, I didn't know what to say. Because lately I've been thinking about that too." "Nathan. I know this is complicated. You work for me. There's a power dynamic. This could be a disaster." He turned to look at her. "But I can't stop thinking about you. About us. About what this could be if we let it. ***, what would you do if you fell for someone you weren't supposed to? When does caring for someone become something more?" Share your thoughts below and hit subscribe to see if Imani and Nathan take the risk that could change everything. Imani's mouth went dry. "I've been thinking about it too. But I'm scared." "Of what?" "Of ruining what we have. The boys need stability. If this goes wrong, I'd have to leave, and they've already lost so many people. What if it doesn't go wrong? What if this is exactly what we're all supposed to find?" She wanted to believe him. She wanted to take the risk and see where it led. But the fear was real and heavy in her chest. "I need time to think," she said. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." He stood to leave, then stopped. "For what it's worth, I think you're the bravest person I've ever met. You came into our lives and fixed things I thought were broken forever. Whatever you decide, I'll respect it. But know that my feelings are real." After he left, Imani sat alone in the dark and tried to sort through the mess in her head and heart. She'd taken this job to help two little boys. She hadn't planned on falling for their father. But the truth was undeniable. She cared about Nathan. She respected his determination to be better. She loved watching him with his sons. She felt safe and valued in ways she'd never experienced before. The question was whether that was enough to risk everything they'd built. She thought about her mother's warning from months ago. Don't lose yourself taking care of other people. But what if taking care of these people was exactly how she'd found herself? What if this family had saved her as much as she'd saved them? The next morning, Imani made her decision. She found Nathan in his office before breakfast and closed the door behind her. "I'm scared," she said. "But I'm also tired of letting fear stop me from living." "So yes. I feel the same way. But we do this slow. We put the boys first. Always." Nathan stood and crossed the room to her. "Always. I promise." He reached for her hand, and she let him take it. The simple touch sent warmth through her entire body. "The boys can't know yet," Imani said. "Not until we're sure this is real and lasting. I won't let them get attached to the idea of us if there's a chance it won't work." "Agreed. We figure out us first, then we tell them when the time is right." They stood there holding hands, both nervous and excited, like teenagers starting something new. It felt terrifying and perfect all at once. "I should go start breakfast," Imani said. "Okay." But Nathan didn't let go of her hand. "Thank you for giving this a chance. For giving me a chance. Thank you for seeing me as more than just the help. You were never just anything, Imani. From the first day, I knew you were special." She squeezed his hand once, then left before things got too intense. Her heart raced as she made her way to the kitchen. She was doing this. They were doing this. And somehow, it felt exactly right. The next few weeks passed in a careful dance. In front of the boys, nothing changed. Imani remained their nanny, Nathan their father. But in stolen moments, they were something more. Early morning coffee conversations lasted longer, sitting closer than necessary. Hands would brush when passing dishes at dinner. Glances held a beat too long across rooms. The boys noticed nothing, too caught up in their summer activities and plans. Tyler had started an art class twice a week. Trevor joined a junior robotics program. They were thriving, growing into themselves in ways that made Imani's heart full. One Saturday, Nathan had the entire day free for the first time in months. At breakfast, he made an announcement. "How about we all go somewhere today? As a family." "Where?" Trevor asked. "The science center. The zoo. You two pick." The twins looked at each other, then at Imani. "Can we go to the park? The big one with the lake?" Nathan looked disappointed. "You want to go to a park when you could see lions and tigers?" "The park is better," Tyler said. "We can feed the ducks and ride bikes and have a picnic. Plus Imani makes the best picnic food," Trevor added. Nathan laughed. "Okay, the park it is. Imani, are you up for it?" "Always." 2 hours later, they arrived at the state park with bikes, a packed cooler, and a blanket. The day was perfect, sunny but not too hot, with a breeze that kept things comfortable. They rode bikes on the trails, with Imani and Nathan riding slowly behind the twins. At one point, Nathan reached over and squeezed her hand briefly before letting go. The simple gesture made her smile. At the lake, they fed ducks with bread Imani had brought specifically for that purpose. Trevor tried to count them all while Tyler attempted to draw them, frustrated that they wouldn't stay still. "They're ducks, buddy. Moving is what they do," Nathan said, sitting beside his son on the grass. "But I want to get them perfect. Art doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to show how you see the world." Tyler thought about that, then went back to drawing with new determination. Lunch was sandwiches, fruit, and homemade cookies. They spread out on the blanket under a large oak tree, and Imani watched as Nathan joked with his sons, really present in the moment. This was what happiness looked like. Not expensive things or fancy places, just people who cared about each other sharing a simple afternoon. After eating, the boys ran off to the playground while Nathan and Imani stayed on the blanket, keeping them in sight. "This is nice," Nathan said, leaning back on his elbows. "I can't remember the last time I felt this relaxed. The boys love having you around. I love being around. I wasted so much time thinking work was more important. I was such an idiot. You were grieving and lost. But you found your way back." He turned to look at her. "Because of you. You gave me the chance to be the father they needed." Before Imani could respond, an older couple walked by and smiled at them. "Beautiful family you have," the woman said. "Thank you," Nathan replied automatically. The couple moved on, and Imani felt her face grow warm. Nathan noticed. "Does it bother you?" When people assume. No. Does it bother you? Not even a little bit. He reached over and took her hand, keeping it hidden between them on the blanket. I like it, actually. Thinking about us as a real family. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We've only been doing this for a few weeks. I know. But I can see it, can't you? A future where this isn't pretend or complicated. Where we're just us. Imani could see it. She'd been seeing it for weeks now, in quiet moments and shared glances. But wanting something and having it were different things. Let's just take it one day at a time, she said gently. Fair enough. The boys ran back then, breathless and excited. Dad, Trevor, come play tag with us. Nathan groaned playfully. I'm too old for tag. No, you're not, Tyler insisted, pulling at his arm. Imani, help me out here. She grinned. Sorry, I'm with the boys on this one. He gave her a look of mock betrayal, then let the twins drag him toward the playground. Imani watched them run and chase each other, Nathan's laughter mixing with the boys' shrieks of joy. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. How are those boys you're always talking about? Imani smiled and typed back. They're good. Really good. And their father. Her mother always could read between the lines. He's good too. Be careful, baby. I know that tone. I'm being careful. I promise. But as she watched Nathan scoop Trevor up and spin him around while Tyler jumped on his back, Imani wondered if careful was even possible anymore. She was in too deep, and she didn't want to climb back out. On the drive home, both boys fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the day. Nathan reached across the console and took Imani's hand, keeping his eyes on the road. Thank you for today, he said quietly. I didn't do anything special. You were here. That's everything. When they got home and carried the sleeping twins inside, tucking them into their beds, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Like they'd been doing this together forever. At the door to the guest house, Nathan kissed Imani's forehead softly. Sweet dreams. You too. She floated inside and got ready for bed with a smile she couldn't shake. This thing between them was real and growing. And for the first time, she let herself believe it might actually work. Nathan's mother arrived unannounced on a Tuesday afternoon. Imani answered the door to find a tall, severe-looking white woman in an expensive suit holding a designer handbag. You must be the new help, the woman said without introducing herself. Where are my grandsons? They're at summer camp. And you are? Patricia Pierce. Nathan's mother. She walked past Imani into the house like she owned it. I need to speak with my son. He's at work. Would you like me to call him? Patricia looked around the house, her gaze critical. What happened to the Montclair painting that used to hang here? The boys accidentally broke it during a game. Mr. Pierce replaced it with their artwork instead. Patricia's expression soured. He replaced a $10,000 painting with crayon drawings? They're actually quite good. Tyler has real talent. I'm sure. When will the boys be home? Around 3. I can let Nathan know you're here. Don't bother. I'll wait. The next 2 hours were excruciating. Patricia examined every corner of the house, making comments about changes she disapproved of. The toy bins in the living room. The drawings on the fridge. The comfortable, lived-in feeling that had replaced the sterile showroom aesthetic. When Imani picked up the boys from camp, they were less than thrilled to see their grandmother. Hi, Grandma, they said politely but without enthusiasm. Look how you've grown. Come give me proper hugs. The boys obliged stiffly, then immediately gravitated to Imani. Can we have our snack? Tyler asked her. Of course. Go wash your hands. Patricia watched this exchange with narrowed eyes. After the boys left the room, she turned to Imani. You seem very comfortable here. I live here. I'm their nanny. I heard about the parade of women my son hired and fired. What makes you different? I care about Tyler and Trevor. And I'm not going anywhere. How convenient for you. A nice house, good salary, and a wealthy employer all to yourself. The implication was clear and ugly. Imani kept her voice steady. I'm here for the boys. Nothing else. Of course you are, dear. When Nathan arrived home an hour later, the tension in the house was thick. He looked surprised and not particularly pleased to see his mother. "Mom, you didn't mention you were coming. I wanted to see my grandsons. Is that a crime?" "No, but a call would have been nice." Over dinner, which Imani prepared while trying to stay invisible, Patricia made her opinions clear. "Nathan, we need to talk about your childcare situation." "What about it? Don't you think the boys need someone more qualified? Someone with proper credentials and references? Imani has been perfect for them. They're happier than they've been in years." Patricia glanced at Imani with thinly veiled disdain. "I'm sure she's very nice, but these boys need structure and discipline from someone who understands their background and social standing." Tyler, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "We like Imani. She's nice to us." "Of course she is, sweetheart. But there are many nice people in the world. You need someone who can prepare you for your future." "Imani makes us happy," Trevor added stubbornly. "That's enough," Nathan said firmly. "Mom, Imani is not up for discussion. She's part of this family, and I won't have you suggesting otherwise." Patricia set down her fork. "Part of the family? Nathan, be reasonable. She's the help." "She's not just the help. She's been more present and supportive than anyone else in the boys' lives, including me for a long time. So yes, she's part of this family." The room went silent. Imani could feel everyone looking at her, but she kept her eyes on her plate. "I see," Patricia said coldly. "And I suppose next you'll tell me you're romantically involved with the nanny." Nathan's jaw tightened. "That's none of your business." "So you are." "Good Lord, Nathan. Have you lost your mind? Think about what people will say. Think about your reputation." "I don't care what people say." "Well, you should. These boys will inherit your company someday. Do you want them entering that world with whispers about their father and the black maid?" Imani stood abruptly. "Excuse me. I need to clear the table." She grabbed plates and fled to the kitchen, her hands shaking with anger and hurt. She could hear the argument continuing in the dining room, Nathan's voice rising as he defended her. The boys appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Are you okay?" Tyler asked. Imani blinked back tears and forced a smile. "I'm fine, sweetheart." "Grandma was being mean," Trevor said. "We don't like when people are mean to you." She hugged them both. "It's okay. Sometimes adults disagree. It doesn't mean anything is wrong. But it did mean something. It meant the outside world saw exactly what she'd been trying to ignore. The differences, the complications, the reasons this relationship was risky." Later, after Patricia had left in a fury and the boys were in bed, Nathan found Imani in the guest house. She'd been crying, and she didn't bother hiding it. "I'm so sorry," he said immediately. "Everything my mother said was wrong and cruel and completely unacceptable. She said what a lot of people are going to think. I don't care what people think. But I do. And the boys will too, eventually. They'll hear the whispers and the judgments, and it will hurt them." Nathan sat beside her. "My mother is bitter and prejudiced. Her opinions don't represent reality." "Don't they? I'm a black woman dating her white employer. I live in his house and take care of his kids. People are going to make assumptions. Let them. Anyone who can't see how incredible you are isn't worth our time. It's not that simple, Nathan. The boys deserve better than dealing with that kind of negativity. The boys deserve to see two people who care about each other treating each other with respect and love. They deserve to see that family isn't about what the world says it should look like." Imani wanted to believe him. But Patricia's words had cut deep, hitting fears she'd been trying to ignore. "I need some time to think," she said. "Please don't let my mother ruin what we have." "I'm not. I just need to process everything." He kissed her forehead and left, and Imani sat alone with her doubts and fears. She'd known this would be complicated, but she hadn't expected it to hurt this much. The next morning, Tyler and Trevor crawled into bed with her before breakfast. "We told Dad we want you to stay forever," Tyler said. "Even if Grandma doesn't like it. We love you, Imani," Trevor added simply. And just like that, her doubts began to fade. Because these boys had chosen her. Nathan had chosen her. And maybe that was enough. Maybe love was always a risk. But the best things in life usually were. Imani spent the next few days wrestling with her thoughts. She went through the motions of caring for the boys, but her mind kept returning to Patricia's words and the reality they represented. On Thursday evening, her mother called. "You've been quiet this week. What's wrong?" Imani told her everything. About Nathan, about her feelings, about Patricia's visit and the ugly things that were said. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. "Baby, let me tell you something. When I married your father, my family had opinions too. He was darker than me, didn't have much education, worked with his hands. My mother said I was throwing my life away. I didn't know that. Because after they met him, after they saw how he loved me and how happy we were, none of it mattered anymore. Good people will always see past surfaces to what's real. But what about the boys? They'll face questions and judgments. They'll also see their father choose love over fear. They'll learn that family isn't about what people look like, it's about who shows up and stays. You're teaching them that just by being there. I'm scared, Mama. Love is always scary. But letting fear make your decisions is worse. You deserve happiness, baby. Don't let someone else's hate steal that from you." After hanging up, Imani felt clearer than she had in days. Her mother was right. She'd spent her whole life playing it safe, taking care of everyone else, never reaching for what she really wanted. But she wanted this. She wanted Nathan and the boys and the family they were building together. And she was tired of apologizing for it. The next morning, she found Nathan in his office before the boys woke up. "I'm done being scared," she announced. He looked up from his computer, hope flickering across his face. Yeah. Your mother was awful, and there will probably be others like her. But I can't control what people think. I can only control what I do. And I choose this. I choose us." Nathan stood and crossed to her, taking her hands. "You're sure?" "I'm sure. But we need to tell the boys. No more hiding. If we're doing this, we do it right." "Agreed." "When?" "Tonight. After dinner. We sit them down and explain that we care about each other and want to be a real family. What if they react badly?" "They won't. They've been asking me when I'm going to be their mom for weeks now." Nathan laughed, relieved and happy. He pulled her close and kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise. "I love you," he said against her lips. "I know it's fast, but it's true. I love you." Imani's heart soared. "I love you too." They stood there holding each other, both smiling like fools, until they heard small footsteps on the stairs. Later, Nathan whispered, and they separated just as Tyler appeared in the doorway. "Why are you both up so early?" "Just talking about boring adult stuff," Imani said. "How about I make pancakes?" Yes. The day felt lighter somehow. Imani moved through her routine with a happiness that bubbled up without warning. Nathan kept finding excuses to be in whatever room she was in. They were done hiding, done pretending, and the relief was immense. That evening, after dinner, they gathered in the living room. The boys sat on the couch between Nathan and Imani, sensing something important was happening. "We need to talk to you both about something," Nathan began. Tyler and Trevor exchanged glances, nervous. "Is Imani leaving?" Trevor asked, his voice small. "No, buddy. The opposite actually. Imani and I have feelings for each other. We care about each other the way adults do when they really like someone." "Like boyfriend and girlfriend?" Tyler asked. "Exactly like that." The boys were quiet for a moment, processing. Then Tyler grinned. "Does this mean Imani is going to be our mom?" Imani's breath caught. "Well, that's a big step. But maybe someday, if that's what everyone wants." "We want it," Trevor said immediately. "We asked Dad weeks ago if you could be our mom. You did. We like you better than anyone. You're nice and you make good food and you never yell at us even when we're bad." Nathan chuckled. "So you two are okay with this?" Both boys nodded enthusiastically. "But there's something you need to understand," Imani said gently. Some people might not like that your dad and I are together. They might say mean things or ask you uncomfortable questions. Like Grandma did? Tyler asked. Imani glanced at Nathan, surprised they'd picked up on that. Yeah, like Grandma. And if that happens, you can always come talk to us. We'll figure it out together. We don't care what Grandma thinks, Trevor said stubbornly. She's mean and you're nice. We choose you. Tears pricked Imani's eyes. Thank you, sweetheart. The boys launched themselves at her in a double hug that nearly knocked her over. Nathan wrapped his arms around all of them, and they sat there in a tangle of limbs and laughter. This was family. Messy and imperfect and absolutely right. Later, after the boys were asleep, Nathan and Imani sat on the back patio under the stars. That went better than I expected, he said. They've been rooting for us this whole time. Smart kids. He took her hand. So what now? Now we just keep being us. Keep putting them first. Keep building this life we're creating. Sounds perfect. They sat in comfortable silence, fingers intertwined, both feeling the weight and wonder of the choice they'd made. Love was a risk. But it was also a gift. And Imani was finally ready to accept. 6 months passed in a blur of happiness and growth. Nathan proposed a flexible work arrangement with his company, allowing him to work from home 3 days a week. The boys started first grade and made honor roll. Imani enrolled in online business courses, slowly building toward her dream of opening a bakery. But more than any individual achievement, they became a family in every way that mattered. They had family game nights every Friday. Weekend trips to museums and parks. Homework sessions at the kitchen table where everyone helped everyone. They fought sometimes, about bedtimes and vegetables and whose turn it was to pick the movie. Normal family stuff that felt extraordinary because they'd all worked so hard to get there. Patricia never apologized, but she did eventually come around. She visited for Tyler's 6th birthday and was civil to Imani, which was progress. The boys were polite to her but made it clear where their loyalties lay. On a cool November evening, Nathan made reservations at a nice restaurant. Imani thought it was just a regular date night, one of the bi-weekly evenings they'd established where they focused on just being a couple. But when they arrived home and walked inside, she found the living room transformed. Candles everywhere, rose petals on the floor, and Tyler and Trevor standing in the middle wearing matching suits. What's going on? She asked, confused. Nathan took her hand and led her to where the boys stood. Then, to her complete shock, he got down on one knee. Imani Brooks, 6 months ago you walked into our lives and changed everything. You gave my sons back their childhood. You gave me back my family. But more than that, you taught all of us what love really looks like. He pulled out a small velvet box and opened it. Inside was a simple, beautiful diamond ring. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to build a future where every day is like the ones we've been living. Will you marry me? Imani's eyes flooded with tears. She looked at Nathan, then at the boys who were vibrating with excitement. Yes. Yes, absolutely yes. Nathan slid the ring on her finger and stood, pulling her into a kiss while the boys cheered. When they broke apart, Tyler and Trevor rushed forward for hugs. Does this mean you're really going to be our mom now? Trevor asked. If you'll have me. We will. We definitely will. They spent the rest of the evening celebrating. Nathan ordered pizza, and they ate in the living room surrounded by candles and joy. The boys asked a million questions about the wedding, about what they'd wear, about whether they could help plan it. Can we help pick the cake? Tyler asked. Imani makes the best cakes. I think I should let someone else make the wedding cake, Imani laughed. But then it won't be as good. Later, after the boys finally went to bed still buzzing with excitement, Nathan and Imani sat together on the couch. I can't believe you planned all that with the boys and I had no idea, she said, admiring her ring in the candlelight. They're surprisingly good at keeping secrets when properly motivated. I promised them extra dessert for a month. That's a dangerous promise. Worth it for the look on your face. He pulled her closer. Are you happy? I'm more than happy. I'm home. And it was true. This house that had once felt like just a job had become her home. These people had become her family. The little girl who'd lost her father and learned too young about pain had found something she never expected, a second chance at love and belonging. "I love you," Nathan said, kissing her forehead. "I love you too. All of you." The next morning, the boys woke them up early, jumping on the bed with excitement they couldn't contain. "We're going to be a real family," Tyler announced. "We already are a real family," Nathan corrected gently. "The wedding just makes it official." "When is it going to happen?" "We haven't planned that yet. These things take time. Can we do it soon? Like next week?" Imani laughed. "Maybe not next week. But soon. I promise." Trevor climbed into her lap. "You're not going to leave us, right? Even if things get hard sometimes?" Her heart squeezed. They'd come so far, but the scars from their mother's abandonment still showed sometimes. "I'm never leaving. I promise you both. I'm here forever, whether things are easy or hard." "That's what family means." "Good," he said, snuggling closer. "Because we need you. I need you too, baby. More than you know." They made breakfast together, all four of them crowded in the kitchen. Tyler cracked eggs while Trevor measured flour for pancakes. Nathan handled the bacon, and Imani supervised, making sure nothing burned. It was chaotic and messy and absolutely perfect. After eating, the boys wanted to call everyone and share the news. They FaceTimed Imani's mother first, who cried happy tears and promised to help with wedding planning. Then Nathan's business partner, who congratulated them both. They even called Patricia, who offered stiff but genuine well wishes. That afternoon, they all went to the park, the same one where they'd spent that perfect day months ago. The boys ran ahead while Nathan and Imani walked hand in hand. "Have you thought about what comes next?" Nathan asked. "What do you mean?" "Your bakery dream. With the wedding and everything, I don't want you to lose sight of your own goals." "I haven't. Actually, I've been looking at potential locations. There's a space downtown that might work. Let's go see it tomorrow. And if it's right, we'll make it happen." "Nathan, a commercial space is expensive. I can't ask you to pay for that." "You're not asking. I'm offering. You've given us everything. Let me give you this." Imani started to protest, then stopped. She'd spent so long refusing help, insisting on doing everything alone. But that wasn't what partners did. Partners supported each other's dreams. "Okay," she said. "Thank you. Thank you for saying yes to all of it." They caught up with the boys at the lake, where Tyler was sketching ducks again while Trevor built a tower of smooth stones. "Look, Imani," Trevor called. "I got it 10 rocks high. That's amazing. Be careful it doesn't fall." But even as she said it, a breeze knocked the tower over. Trevor's face fell, and Imani waited for the tantrum that the old Trevor would have thrown. Instead, he just started rebuilding. "That's okay. I'll make it taller this time." Nathan caught her eye and smiled. These boys who had been so broken, so angry at the world, had learned to bend instead of break. They'd learned that falling down didn't mean giving up. They'd learned it from watching her never give up on them. As the sun set and they packed up to head home, Imani looked at her little family and felt overwhelming gratitude. She'd taken a risk on a job that seemed impossible. She'd opened her heart when she could have stayed safe. And in return, she'd found everything she never knew she needed. A partner who valued her. Children who loved her. A home that felt like belonging. She'd found her happily ever after, not in some distant someday, but right here, right now, in the ordinary magic of everyday life. Tyler grabbed her hand on one side, Trevor on the other. Nathan walked beside them, carrying the blanket and cooler. To anyone watching, they looked like what they were, a family heading home after a perfect day. And for Imani Brooks, soon to be Imani Pierce, that was more than enough. It was everything. ***, the end ***.